Ready? Welcome back to another episode of Class Racing Today. We have a jam-packed episode today, lots of good stuff going on. I have to say, we have the deadliest, scariest, meanest front-wheel drive stock driver in the country right now. Mr. Sharkbait himself, Mr. Gary Hampton, with his 1986 Cavalier in D front-wheel drive stock. Before we have a nice little chat with Gary, we want to blow through some results this weekend. We had a lot going on. We had a national event in Ennis, Texas. We had a national open in Indianapolis. We had a Division II race in Rockingham, North Carolina, as well as a national open right after that divisional concluded. So just a couple results for you. In Ennis, Texas, at the national event, we had in Stock Eliminator, Lowell Gerber in a AA stock automatic Camaro, trip zip in the final, trip zip dead on with a 3 over Dale Holquist. Lowell Gerber takes his first national event win. In Super Stock, we had 16-year-old Hayden Trumbull. I think this was his first national event. I know it was his first national event win. 003 over Anthony Bertozzi, one of the biggest killers of them all. Anthony Bertozzi was 001 in the final. Hayden Trumbull's 003 takes the win. Congrats, my man, 16 years old. At the Indy National Open, let's get that in there. Let's see. Let's jump over to D2, Rockingham. Stock Eliminator, Cody Phillips took the win over Chip Johnson. And Super Stock, Joe Lisa, Division I hitter, took the win over Corey Taylor. So way to go there, fellas. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, Indy National Open, Ray Paquette, 1964 Ford Thunderbolt. Super Stock A stick shift sets the record, 842 at 159 miles an hour. That's some killer power right there. I believe that's Charlie Westcott power. But way to go, Mr. Paquette.
The air must have been phenomenal there.
I think it was.
I saw Caleb McFarland, I heard, went with his A-stick Firebird. Where was that? I had it here. He went 967 in A-stick at the National Open in Indy. Like, damn.
Wow. Wow. I don't know. Without further ado, I really want to talk to Mr. Gary Hampton here. I mean, I can't sit still here.
Hey,
like,
no, just settle down. I know you're all jacked up. You've been chomping at the bit for 2 weeks. Where's Gary? We need Gary. Come on, get him in. We gotta just hold on now, okay? We can't just go right to the cake. We gotta, like, banter a little, you know? Like, are we not gonna talk about some of the events? Like, did you see the package from the final in Dallas? Did you look at the results there?
Oh, yeah. Did you hear me? 003?
Yeah. Did you see the round before that?
Zip dead 3 for Lowell Gerber?
Yeah. And the round before that, I think, was almost as solid. Like, just nasty rounds they were running there. It was crazy. I was also... Did you...
there was the Gainesville national event, the event that just won't ever end. And was this 3 times they had to settle the score for this event between canceling it, running some of the finals over here, running some of the finals over there. Robbie Drawn won Super Stock. That was contested somewhere recently. And he's got a stick car also. What does he have? A stick shift a Corvette or something? Modified car? Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody somewhere out there on Facebook Live.
I wanted to talk to... There was an awesome heads up on stock in Texas. Larry Hill against Steve Wan. I want to make sure I got it right here.
That was 3rd round.
Did you watch that?
I saw the numbers, and it was pretty crazy.
So,
Larry Hill had a heads-up first round, right? Then you had to put it back in bracket mode second round, and then you had a heads-up third round.
So Larry Hill, Steve Wan, third round, heads up. That's one I don't want to be against either of those guys at any race, because when I'm in A, I think I might have to move. But Steve went 996 and Larry went 998. But Steve missed the tree a little bit and Larry was 082. So just goes to show it's in the tree. And I think Steve Wan is probably still a little messed up from Sharkbait. Maybe that. Are you still in his head?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, the other crazy, the fact that it sounds like I wasn't there, but I'm starting to see a little stuff on, maybe there was an issue with the lane. Car was disqualified for hitting the brakes hard. Sounds like there's a little scuttle there that it wasn't really on the brakes that hard. Maybe the track was a little loose, and I've seen a couple people comment too that they've noticed some of the same things. So that's a little scary.
I did see that. That was third round of stock. Tim Snively disqualified for excessive braking, my bad, versus Danny Rucker. Now, this race was, I did see this one on video. This race was a little nuts, okay? Snively had the tree by a mile. Danny Rucker was really late. I don't know what happened. Maybe he got distracted up there, but something happened where Danny Rucker was way late, and Snively had him covered for the whole race, and hits the brakes pretty hard at the finish line, right before the finish line, like very late, and hits the wall, and sparks flew, and literally and figuratively, and he was disqualified. Now, very key, that was for a fourth round bye, so that's really gotta hurt. So Danny Rucker's reinstated, gets a fourth round bye, he's going into fifth round semifinal or quarterfinal. I think that was a 7-round race, right?
I believe so.
So that's, oof, that hurts. Not only you get disqualified, your car's needs body repairs, and it was for a buy.
Yeah, I've seen
into some potential money to help fix the car.
And it does seem like a couple other people noticed that the cars were maybe in the shutdown area acting a little goofy there. So I don't know if it's just getting dark or weather or something. I guess I wasn't there, so I don't know how that all worked. But
no, it was a six round race, so that was for a bye into the semifinal.
Yeah, not good. Hopefully everybody was good, walked out away. Metal can be replaced, but that's never a good scenario when something like that happens.
Yeah.
So yeah. Just another week. I always wonder, like, what are we going to talk about? It seems like there's always some little freak weird deal like that. I guess that's what keeps us watching, right?
Danny Rucker was 367 on the tree that round. So, I'm not sure what happened. He was 179 the round before that. And then he was pretty good the rest of the day. 028, 021 in the semifinal. 028 first round.
Yeah, I found where I was looking at, and they said actually the car that ran in front of Tim, Jimmy Hidalgo, was actually a little bit loose on the same lane after his run, exact same part of the track. I believe Larry Hill said possibly too. He noticed it was a little different. So
it's a shame. We can't afford any more drama at that racetrack.
Yeah, I bet they had the wind lights working.
Yeah. They're cool wind lights. They look like they're scary. They look like cop car, like flashing blue and red.
I suppose they had $3,000 to help fix them. Oh, we should drop that. Oh, fun. So Gary, what's up with you next week?
Oh, Vegas, baby. Vegas, baby, starting Wednesday. I hightail it out there to that track, get ready for the divisional on Thursday, and the race on Friday, and then Sports Nationals the rest of the week.
So, Gary, the way things were going for you last week, I think you should get to Vegas a day early and go gamble on the strip, because you might your good fortunes are up right now.
people think I'm crazy because I just go there to race. And it's like I'll hang out with my racing buds from other states, and that's pretty much it. So
Do you think? Do you think anybody else is going to show up in stock if they know you're coming now?
Oh yeah, they'll show up, especially everybody that wants a rematch with me. So
you need to.
It's a nice feeling.
You need to get a stereo set up and just crank Baby Shark when you're rolling into that place. Like that's your walk-in music.
That's funny. But actually, I know Jody Lang's going to be there, and quite honestly, I was looking forward to racing him. I'm glad it turned out how it did, but I thought I was going to lose. But I raced him in the third round of the 2006 Mile High National, and that race had it wasn't 96, it was 98. I raced him in the third round. He got out on me. Well, he caught up with me, and he backed off his car. And in the first round, that was an interesting story because somebody north of the border raced me in a 69 Camaro, and he clicked his motor and thought he could coast to the finish line and beat me. The only problem with that was I didn't lift, and there was a big Winston Vision sign at the time that showed me gaining on him, and I nipped him at the stripe by, get this, 0.003 of a second.
Woo.
How you like that? And so when Jody raced me, he didn't turn his motor off, but he did go into coast mode, and he saw me gaining on him. I got up to his his rear tire. He put a little juice in it to make sure that he kept his front end in front of me, and that's how he got the win. So I was like, well, at least he respected me more than that other guy did. But I was still looking forward to racing him because at that time I didn't have a car that could run the index. But this time I did. So, and I got him on the tree by about 7 thou. Let me see. Look at my ET slip. Where are you? Oh, I put the round wins further down. There we go. He had a. I thought I had the right one.
You were both good on the tree. I mean, he wasn't. You had a killer light, and he was no slouch. So.
I had a. Where's it? There's. I had them all together, nice and good, and.
It's all right. That always happens.
You would be happy to know that right now in Division 5, there's actually. Let me look at here just to make sure I say it right. I believe second place in the standings right now, out by 3 points, is Brett Kopeka with the front wheel.
Oh yeah.
He's second.
I like that guy.
Yeah, we race on them quite a bit, and man, he's always putting fast cars on the trailer. It's pretty funny. He's 3 points out of the lead right now in D5.
I told him that I was hoping to do at least half as well as he did, and then here I end up doing this.
Yeah. see, Bobby, there's hope for your Mustang after all.
Hope.
Slow cars can win.
They can. Every 20 years, right? 25? 1996 was the last time a front-wheel drive car won a national event, right?
Well, 86 was the national, 96 was the divisional, and that was Bill O'Connor.
All right, there we have it. 86, 96. What happened in 06? Nobody won one? We're supposed to win one every 10 years here with one of these cars.
Yeah, well, I got close in the. I made it to the quarterfinals of the 06 Mile High Nationals, and that was a story in and of itself. I had Brian McClanahan in the quarterfinals, had a perfect cool down, but I wasn't handling the heat well. That's another reason I'm glad I live here in Phoenix, because I was starting to get lightheaded and woozy, and I go back to my pit area. And as soon as I go there, one of the motor scooter NHRA guys comes up and says, "Stock to the lanes." I was like, "Oh crap! I got to go up to the lanes now." And so I drove past the cool down island that Vandermeer Speedway had, and I was like, "Should I stop or should I go? They might be up there waiting for me." I get up there to the lanes. Nobody was there. I was like, "Oh man, should I turn around and go back or should I go down the hill?" I went on down the hill, but I was like, I need to get some ice for my intake plenum because my car's multi-port fuel injected, and didn't find any. I should have went and asked one of the fans in the stands. I'll give you $20 for your cup of ice, and just chug your soda, and I'll give you $20 for the ice, because that was the thing that was the only thing that hurt me in that race is I got Ryan off the line by about 300ths of a second, but my car ran 1300ths slower than the index, which was a 1666. So, and to pour salt on the wounds, he crossed the finish line just 14 thousandths over his dial-in. So I could have broke him out if I would have had maybe just 600ths of a second more momentum down the track. So this race last weekend, it gave me great pleasure to beat a Ryan. It just wasn't McClanahan. So I beat a Ryan M, but it wasn't the Ryan M that I wanted a rematch with. So.
What got you into racing, or when did you start?
I started in 75, and actually the late Bill Grumpy Jenkins, I'll give him the credit for it. When my oldest sister passed away in 72, I ended up going to a grocery store and seeing a Carcraft magazine that had Bill Jenkins' Vega on the cover of it. And I was like, I got to get this. That looks cool. And I go into the magazine and I see this Vega, and it's like, okay, I like Vegas. So that had me wanting to get into racing. And I remember one time going to a race in Castle Rock. But we had to go to church first that day. So by the time we got to the race, they were running the final rounds. And I was like, oh, man. But here I was only a snot-nosed 13-year-old kid at the time, or 14, something like that. It was like, I got to do this. So 75, you'll like this. I was going for my first car. Denver got a little bit of snow on the 23rd of May. My birthday's the 24th. I could have had a V8. I saw all kinds of V8 Chevelles and Novas and whatever in the newspaper. Since the little bit of snow got on the ground, my dad didn't want to go look for a car with me until the week after. We go there, and what do I end up getting? A 64 Chevelle with an inline 6 and a 3-speed. Are you kidding me? I could have had a V8. That's the plug for the new commercial. I could have had a V8. So then I take that car out in 76 to the bracket, the high school drags, the Memorial Day drags, and I made it to the final round, and I broke out with the car. And so I was going to give up racing, but then I go into this mechanic school, and they asked us what we did for the summer, and they asked me what did I do, and I said, well, I made the finals of bracket 4 at the high school drags. And they said, what were you driving then? And I said, 64 Chevelle. And they said, what are you driving now? And I said, a 76 Vega. And they went, a Vega! And I was like, okay, you guys show up at the high school drags next year with your ma and pa bought cars, and I'll be out with my Vega. We'll see who does what. I ended up winning not only bracket 4, but King of the Hill.
Nice.
So
nice.
My name was, and it was a, get this, 22.9 second car. Okay, 4-cylinder automatic. I was like, yeah, okay, now what do you guys got to say? I'm in Drag News magazine. I'm in National Dragster. I had a clip of me in the Rocky Mountain News or the Denver Post, and I had a picture of me and John Vandermeer Jr. in the winner's circle of the Drag News magazine. So, and my trophy is, or the picture of it, and the bracket 4 trophy are in my high school, Denver South High, in their trophy case. So that's what got me into it.
Had anybody in your family raced before that, or did you grow up going to the track at all, or was it just, hey, I want to go to the drag race?
I'm Gen 1.
Nice,
yeah.
I can relate with you. Maybe I got hope. Hey, I started a little later than you, but maybe there's still a chance.
Generation 1 started when I was 17.
So do you think, so what everybody says, oh, slow cars can't win, slow cars can't win. You're literally the walking testament. Like, you just not know any different? Or, how do you win with a 22-second car compared to the fast ones? What's...
The trick to that was I went out to the drag races and I started bracket racing with the Weekend Warriors. And as soon as I got one round win, I thought, okay, I have something for these high school guys. So I go out there, and while I'm winning rounds left and right, Vandermeer, or the announcer, God, I can't remember his name now, he got out there and they were saying that you guys were more than welcome to come out and practice and run the weekend bracket races so that you could hone up your driving skills. Those guys were leaving like green lights in a city or something, and I was out there hitting 0.1 lights or maybe even 0.7, 0.8. It didn't matter. My lights were way better than theirs, so they couldn't catch me. And that was the secret of my success, was the practice. And everybody's always talking about seat time, so there you go with that. And it's just like this race. 2 weeks prior to this, I was at an Arizona Super Stock Association race, thanks to Mark and Brad Hawk. Hopefully they're watching this. But I was able to get out there and race John Calvert with his 8-second Mustang. And I was like, okay, we both raced. We both had fairly decent lights, pretty decent lights. And he won that race because I broke out 13 thousandths more than he did. But I was like, I'm getting a little better at judging these guys at the finish line. I just wish I would have feathered my gas once or twice, and I might have changed the outcome of that race. So that's when I went to the race on Friday and started winning some rounds there. And I was like, I think I found me a nice little sweet spot for my torque converter, and thanks to those Mickey Thompson slicks that I have on the car. And I went and told Mike at Mickey Thompson, it's the tires, man. He was yelling at me, yay, congrats, and all of that. And I'm like, I yelled back at him, it's your tires. So 22 by 8 by 15 inch slicks. And if I'd have known I was going to be able to do something like this, I would have bought them things years ago.
Are those tires like half the price of the adult size tires?
No.
So basically, to quantify, you're saying dead on the tree, seat time, seat time, seat time. Rip the tree down, seat time. Know your car.
Yep, absolutely.
But slow cars can't win.
Bobby
tells me all the time, oh, fast cars, you can't win. Slow cars can't win. That's what they say at the track. You just proved everyone wrong.
And I'm grateful for that, because it's one thing about me. I have always been for the oddball combination. Like the guy in the Northwest that's racing a Pacer. I go and say kudos to you for racing that. Derek Elam with his Pinto station wagon. I go out and give him props because he was slaying some dragons about 1 or 2 years ago out here in Division 7 and Division 6. And of course, Brent Kopeka, it's like, oh yeah, I wanted to be like him. And he's going to finish in the top 10. Hopefully he gets back to number 1. And I'm just thrilled out of my wits end that I'm going to have a chance to be fairly close to him. Here, I've always been looking for being in the top 20. I have a chance to be in the top 10 at the end of the year with 2 more good races. So I'm going for it.
That's awesome. It's definitely kind of a Cinderella story, like everybody talks about the expensive stock. Well, I'm not a millionaire. How do you become a millionaire? Well, you don't race. It's an expensive sport. There's always the next thing, and working on your car. But that's what's neat about some of those combos is it's fairly inexpensive to get into some of those different combos that haven't been horsepower piled on.
And this Arizona Super Stock Association thing, I am so thankful for Brad Hawk and Matt Hawk for putting this all together, and the people at UEM that helped sponsor it, because that was a lot of fun. I can truthfully say that so far I've been to 3 races, and I've made at least $100 at each of the races. 2 quarterfinal finishes, and now the winner's circle to go with it. And I haven't had a moment like this since I raced at Thunder Valley Dragway and made the semifinals with my Vega, the 4-cylinder Vega. I went in there as an alternate for Team Bandemir and ended up finishing higher than any of their top 10 racers at that event. And went back there 2 years later, 1981. That's where this bad boy came from. 1973 Pontiac Ventura 350 V8 2-barrel carburetor, 308 limited slip differential, but it only ran 1830s in a quarter mile. My Cavalier's 3 seconds quicker, so imagine that. But it was a 3,600-pound boat with a 175 horsepower V8, but I still won the Division 5 Street Eliminator.
Nice.
So,
I could tell that trophy's a little shinier if you had more time to polish that. How long ago was that?
Oh shoot, actually I just shined it up a little bit yesterday to get ready for this.
That's awesome. Was that your most memorable? What was your most memorable race since you've been racing?
Actually, I'd say this one, because I went out there and you talk about my lights here this past week. When I was racing for this trophy, I hit 3 consecutive .023 lights. And so I guess word got out to some of the other racers that this guy is killing a tree or something like that. You better be up for him. And in round 4, I hit a 096, but the guy red lit against me. So I was like, okay, that's something else. And then some friends of mine came over, teammates, and said, there's people in the stand saying, what is he doing out there with that car? And it was like, I knew what they were talking about. And they were, granted, my car was no looker. It had dents and scratches all over it, but I knew what they were talking about. So it's like, I'll fix them. I go to the semifinals, 051. I go to the final, 051. The guy that I raced against, I believe he was like 070 on the tree, and he was the only car that crossed the finish line at Thunder Valley ahead of me, so I thought I lost. But then I come down the return road, and all of a sudden, like half of my racing team is there beyond the ET shed to congratulate me for winning. And so it's like, where's Elton John? I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was my most memorable race, actual overall race. But that fun one was that guy in that '69 Camaro that thought he could coast to the finish line of the '98 Mile High Nationals round one, and still beat me across the line. And it gave me great delight to see that I nipped him by 0.003 of a second.
What was the year of your first race?
The year '75.
How was do you remember your first? Did you win a race that year?
No, not one single nothing. I didn't win a darn thing in that race or that year. Now '76 was when I went to the final round of the bracket race, the high school drags. But I in '79. Oh, and this is also with the Vega. I won 5 bracket races and 6 final rounds.
Ooh.
How you like that? And the only person that won more rounds than me that year was my then girlfriend. How you like that? I taught her everything that I knew about racing and driving, and she ended up being my most formidable opponent. And I was like, man, she got me by 1 stinking lousy round win. And I know good and well the one that could have been the equalizer, and that was a race that I lost to a guy in a Ford Falcon or something. I think I backed into him and ended up giving him the win, and it was a final round. So I went back the next day and I won that race. So
that's great.
Yeah,
there might have been some sleeping on the couch with that little rivalry going on with the girlfriend, huh?
yeah. So, but hey, she don't have one of these, and she definitely don't have one of these.
You told her almost everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have are you kind of, how do I want to say it? Do you have a routine? Like, walk me through your routine. Like, how are you so consistent on the tree? Like, what's your, for people like me that are starting out and looking for all the tips we can get, like, walk me through your race routine. What's it looking like when they call you to the lanes?
I just I check my tires before I leave my pit area and make sure that my intake plenum is nice and cool. And if I have my battery charger on the battery, just go through that motion. Everything else is pretty well set. Excuse me, just hop in the tire and go up to the lanes and do a final check of the tires, and I'm just standing around jibber jabbering with everybody else, waiting for a chance to roll up. And it's just the tires have allowed me to use my A1 8-inch torque converter that was built for the car. And Burl Stevens, I had to call and thank him, because that engine in that car was built in 1996. Wow. And I've got hundreds of runs on that motor. It's been that solid and tight. And I use a full synthetic oil. I think it's 5W30 full synthetic, and it's actually my FVP brand. So
Let's see your shirt, Gary.
Huh?
Let's see your shirt. What is it? FVP.
There you go.
Gotcha. All right.
Yep. So I put that in there, and I'm pretty much set. My radiator has 40 below in it, so I don't even focus on the radiator in between runs. I know some guys spray their radiators, but I had that 40 below in there, and I just go up there and concentrate on the intake plenum, because that's the one that's won me races and lost me races. And no real specific routine outside of that. I'm just going up there confident in the car because thanks to Burl Stevens and Marv Ripes at A1 and Mike at Mickey Thompson Tires, I have my car set up to rock and roll. And I hope I do some more of it this week. I'm definitely going for it. So,
have you ever found yourself in a heads up situation?
Like, no. I think that will be all of never. So,
somebody out there is going to build one now. Maybe your ex-girlfriend's going to build one to come find you.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah. It'll be the most watched heads up in the history of Stock Eliminator.
Bring it on. I'd love to have another race with her. So, but she's a school teacher now, so she's totally out of all of that. So
for somebody looking at starting one of these combos, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there running front wheel drives and trying to get started in the sport. And I mean, what's your advice for them? How do they get their car to be consistent? What advice would you have for somebody building a car like similar, front wheel drive stocker right now?
Well, find some good people that have been into it, like I did with Burl Stevens and Dave Lockridge, because they used to work together at Burl Stevens Enterprises, and actually Dave is the one that put the motor and the transaxle in the car and got it set up for that. If your car can have, I recommend automatics and front wheel drive, not sticks. Manual transmissions, they might have been good back in the 80s, but nowadays I don't see any stick shift vehicles being able to run consistent. I feel a whole lot better with the automatic. Got to have the shift kit. Find a car engine combination like Bill O'Connor's or Brent Kopeka's or even mine. Heck, I welcome the competition. I'd love to see more Cavaliers out there. Get an Oldsmobile or the Buicks that had the 4-cylinder turbos in them. That would be way cool. Bill Howell, I think, ran a minivan with a 4-cylinder turbo in it. Shoot, bring it back out there. I think once at least Mopar had parts that you could buy for those kind of cars, and I actually kind of wished at times that I bought a Dodge Shadow or Plymouth Sundance, because Mopar had all the parts that you could get right from their dealership that would have hopped those things up and had them ready to rock and roll. But my car, it was a bear in the beginning, because NHRA had me factored for B front wheel drive stock automatic back in the years when they had 16 cars. And I was like, how can I be competitive with being factored in the same class that turbocharged Dodge Shadows were running in? Those guys were able to mop the floor with me in my car. So, and then I look and I see Randy Hyman from Colorado. He raced Linda Sherman's old Citation V6. He was running E front wheel drive stock automatic. I'm like, how come I'm in B and he's an E? And really, our cars are not that much different size or weight wise. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But then my friend Lane Weber from Colorado, he had told me, have you sent any letters to NHRA about refactoring your car? And I said, well, no. And he said, you should do that. And so I did, and finally they gave me a factor that I could run with. And they took horsepower off of my combination, and now instead of being factored at 150, I'm factored at 125, which makes it a whole lot easier. So
when did you build that car?
96. I started racing with it in 95, but it ran a 1755 at Vandermeer, and the index for B front wheel drive stock automatic was 1644. And so yeah, 96 was when I started with all the fun. And I mean that sarcastically, because when I first started with the car, I had to get scratch and clawed from being an 18-second car, because everything that Brill did to the motor, my computer was fighting it. And it was like, okay, I tried to get prom chip. Well, there was a guy that gave me a prom chip for a 350 V8, and I put that in the car, and from idle to 2,000 RPM, that thing was like a rocket. And I sent the chips to this guy in Florida, thinking, if you could just make a chip that would make this motor go to 6,000 RPM like it goes to 2,000, I'll be happy as a kid in a candy store, and they'd probably even add more horsepower to my car. But he couldn't do it, and so I ended up trashing my factory ECM and getting an Axle call map. And once I did that, then I was like, okay, now what do? I'm not Woodrow Josie. He established the baseline for rear-wheel drive V8s with the call maps and Holly's thing, and there was no baseline for my car. So it was like, I tried things here and there, and I had some help from a guy named Craig Railsback at Blower Drive Systems, and we figured out a way to at least make the car run as it is nowadays. And I haven't touched a computer in years, but probably should, but I don't need to, so why bother? I'm enjoying the way the car's running now.
And how many passes do you have on it?
I think it's a safe bet to say 500 plus. How's that?
500. Nice.
500 plus. Because ever since I started racing Stock Eliminator, because I used to go to Kearney, Nebraska. I went to Brainerd once. I went to Topeka, Kansas a few times, and haven't been to Great Bend. But then I went to Nob, Oklahoma once also. The year that their courthouse unfortunately got burned down, and my family and I were able to see that like 2 days before they leveled it, so that was pretty grim. But then I move out here, and all of a sudden I'm going to Salt Lake City, to Bakersfield, Pomona, and Fontana, and it's like, okay, that was a dream race. I wanted to always go to Pomona. And now I've been there a couple of times. So,
where do you see the sport going as far as class racing? I mean, you've been around, you've been watching it, you've been involved in it. Like, what do you think it takes to grow? Do you see it being sustainable?
Be more inclusive of cars like mine, and actually, I wish those import cars would come out there. I've said in past years, I know how great Dan Fletcher and Peter Biondo are, and I put this out in Class Racer Forum. It's like, I love racing imports because the car magazines are always ballyhooing about how they're the best quote unquote cars on the road. And it's like, I beg to differ. Get one out there to the drag strip, and there's guys that I was at a race with in Tucson that were literally pulling out of the staging lane once they knew they were lined up against my Sharkbait. So it just, get them out there. I want them Honda Accords, them Honda Civics out there. I even said, hey, you put Peter Biondo, Dan Fletcher in one of them cars and let me race, and we'll see who comes out on top. I'm going with me. So, and especially after last week. So that's, but I just, of course, then the cost too. I wish there would be a way to kind of streamline the cost of getting into races like ours. But I think this junior dragster program is pretty cool. That's helping some younger people get into it. Marketing. That's another thing that'll help, is getting the word out about, and they get these darn city and state governments to be more supportive of racing if they want to keep street racing off the public roads and that kind of thing. That would help, because I remember how I was as a teenager. I'm sure there's plenty other teenagers that are very similar. Give us a place to race and we'll go and have our fun.
Yeah, and I do think the cars like the car like yours, Gary, is, Brian and I are always talking about how can younger generation get in, and not only just get in but afford it. So I would like to think that a combo like yours may be more appealing to an 18 to 25 or 30-year-old who doesn't have, tons of money. They have student debt, most of them, a way to get in and just have a little bit of fun. And then if they do enjoy it, they could stick with it. I mean, they could be loyal to it like you are, or they could move on to something, faster and more expensive if they choose.
Yeah. I mean, I started racing my daily driver, and for many years I was going out to the races. My Vega and my Pontiac Ventura, they were my daily driver. This Cavalier is the first vehicle that in '95 I stopped driving it on the street and made it purpose built for racing. So I just got fortunate, thank God for that, that I was able to relax needing to drive it on the street. But I totally support anybody that has a street car that wants to go out and race it. They could do their weekend bracket racing things, and then come out to races like the divisionals and see, hey, if I keep my car like this, maybe I can go and do that. And hopefully they either have a family that'll support them with it, or they might get fortunate and get the kind of job that'll help them finance it on their own. Because and then they could start dabbling out there with us guys. But in the meantime, sportsmen bracket racing, the high school drags, if they're a high schooler, I think that's pretty cool. I'd love to see them do that. More the merrier.
Well, one of the interesting things is you look at class racing, and I'm new to it, so it's a little different from my perspective, but you basically kind of have two divisions. You have the diehard purists. We've been class racing since it started. This is how it needs to be. We need less technology and less changes. You know, it's back to our normal computer versus non-computer, E-shift versus non-E-shift, you know, vice versa. And I understand having rules and keeping things simplified and pure, but with that, you kind of lose some of the all-inclusiveness. You know, you know what, if somebody has a Honda Accord and they can come up with the rules and get it all approved by NHRA, heck yeah, I think you gotta open it up broader and let more people access it instead of trying to shrink the class. We need to open it up, like you said, get more people. You know, I'm not an import guy. I don't have a Honda. I have no purists to them. I'm more into old classic cars, but I'm 42 years old. You know, I'm probably in stock. I'm one of the younger people. You know, there's not too many people under 40 racing in stock. Why would we want to like lose generations? If you have a car, come up with the rules, get things approved, like that's how you grow it.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I love that the Challengers, the Mustangs, the Camaros came out again. It was like the rebirth of the muscle car era. I think that's, as Bob Fry would say, that's way up there on the kilometer. So I just I want to see more young people get into it. I think it's great. It definitely beats driving or street racing, because that's a lot of the bad rap that drag racing gets. And I'm glad some forms of media are saying street racing when they're talking about people doing that instead of drag racing, because I remember a decal that NHRA put out back in the 70s that said street racing is not NHRA drag racing, and I bought that and I had that on one of my cars, probably the Vega, but it's like, and then I hear these kids, younger people going around and romping their cars when they're going down the street. And I'm like, that's not impressive to me. Take it out to Wild Horse Pass or to the track. Does nothing for me. All it does is make me think, okay, I hope there's nobody trying to walk across the street or something. So no, I'm totally not into that. But I think the making it easier for people to get into racing is the paramount. That's the thing for the future. And I'm not a big import guy either, but I sure love to race them because most of the time I beat them.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, well, I don't have it around me, but I have a 3-foot tall trophy. You hold for a second, I'll go get it.
All right.
Sure. I used to at ACO Dragway, I would take my car before I turned it into a stocker. I would drive it there for import versus domestic, and that was fun for me because I won that event a couple times. By third round, all the maybe by second or third round at the most, all the imports were gone, and it was just domestic versus domestic at that point.
Would it have still been fun if they beat you?
No, not at all. What are you, nuts?
Oh, I don't want to lose to a Honda ever.
How you like
Look at that. There it is.
How you
Hey,
like
I didn't
this?
get a trophy like that when I won import versus domestic. I'm going back to ACO.
See this? This had a word that I deleted for obvious reasons. I talk S word, but I back it up. And this was my last race that I won prior to this. And this was 8 years ago.
That might be cooler than a Wally or an Oscar.
Yeah, so yeah, there you go with that one.
Gary, let's get technical for a second here. You've been mentioning Mickey Thompson tires, which I also have. I think they're the best tire. I know that would probably cause a lot of arguments between many people, but how much air do you run in those tires on your car?
Actually, I thank my friend, the late Vic Hobbs, for this. I run 24 pounds in the left and 22 in the right because it's something about the way the front wheel drive and the open powertrain is that he would tell me that the one side is pulling harder than the other, so you need the greater air pressure to make the one spin more than the other. I forget how he said that all, but I just know it worked. The 8-inch wide slick, and then 24 and 22, and then of course I have, since I'm the weird guy that's running front wheel drive, I have the front runners on the back of the car. Right. And I that was something else. For many years I was running regular wheels in the back, and I was like, I saw Mark Iacovone had a Monte Carlo, and I went and looked at those, and I asked Alex Kadar, who drove the car, about the wheels, and he said those are donut wheels for your spare tires and stuff like that. So I found a couple of donut wheels and took their spare tires off, and the front runners fit perfectly on there. So those in the back. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask you: do you drive around the water? Do you drive through the water? Do you do a burnout, a semi-hard burnout, or?
I do a dry hop. I did one full dry hop that would get me up to the starting line, and then I would stage the car.
Do you drive around the water before the dry hop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then staging. You can't deep stage in Stock Eliminator. Did you used to deep stage when you were bracket racing, or have you always been a shallow stager?
I've always been a shallow stager.
Do you Do you go in a little, like the stage light comes on? Do you move in a little further, or do you just stop it right there, a shallow stage? Period.
I stop as shallow as I possibly can, and as a matter of fact, I go up. I'll pre-stage the car and wait for my opponent to put their pre-stage light on, and then I'll go into staging up the RPM on my torque converter, and then I'm ready to rock and roll.
Right. Do you use a two-step or just foot brake?
Foot brake. See, and that's the more I see situations like what happened with Steve with his car, the more I'm thinking, nope, that's one more thing that I could act up in my car if I had it on there. So no, foot brake, total foot brake. My car is about as stock can get outside of the Lunati cam, the 3-angle valve job that Burl put in there. And I'm even running stock exhaust manifolds on the car. Nobody makes headers for it.
Good point.
So, and then Exhaust Pros in Commerce City, Colorado. I'll give them a plug because I found a crossover pipe from a '84 Buick Regal that had a V6 in it. Was able to put that over the transaxle and get it to connect to my forward exhaust manifold to make dual exhaust going down underneath the car. So that helped in that regard. And then as far as the transmission goes, I'll give some props to S&A transmissions because when I first started running the Cavalier, after the engine build, I had a transmission issue in 2000. I sent it to S&A Transmissions in Inglewood, and they said, your torque converter is too tight. It needs to be loosened. So made arrangements to send it out to A1. They loosened it, got it back, had a shift kit in it, a 373 planetary out of a 4-cylinder J car put in it, and everything else is history. So that's my ideal of fun. Competition engineering, rear shocks. But my car doesn't get a whole lot of love from the aftermarket anymore. I might have to go see Rock Auto or JT Whitney if they're still around to help me out with things that I might need down the road. But at least Spellpro is still around, so thank God for that, because I'm using their gaskets in my motor, so that's cool.
Have you had to do much suspension work? Do you run different shocks, or is that all pretty much stock, or what's that look like on your chassis?
That's pretty much all stock, except for the competition engineering shocks. Everything else is stock.
But are they adjustable?
Yeah, 3-way adjustables, and I have them set at 70-30. And my front end, I noticed a picture of my car looked like the front end went up a little bit, and so it would shift weight to the back, which is not a good idea with a front-wheel drive car. But those 8-inch slicks say, we don't care, we still got that track and you're still going to have grip. So I take off and go on. And who was it? Alan Reinhardt was teasing me one time about my car. He's always been teasing me, but it's like, yeah, now what do you got to say? Now that I got this bad boy.
I always joke all the time, the only two things that get your picture taken are wheel stands and winners. So don't feel bad about not being able to do wheelies, because you're definitely winning.
Well, I thank you for that. I feel like the good guy, the good Lord divinely guided me to this car. And the main reason I'm even running this car is because in 1986, I saw somebody running a Cavalier Z24 exactly like my car, and he made it to the finals of an NHRA race, and he false started, and I was like, that was a cool looking car combination. And then all of a sudden, when 93 came around, this high school girl in Littleton was selling her car, and she said that she had to have a Honda Civic with a 5-speed to be cool in school. I called her brother up a year later, and I said, tell your sister thanks for selling me her car. I'm making it a star in the world of drag racing. And he's like, what? I said, I've already been to a final round with the car. I'm having fun with it. And so that's just that to now. I hope to have more fun with it, to be honest with you, starting this week.
We definitely wish you the best of luck this week too. I know I'll be rooting for you, and sure many people around the country will be also.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's some that are gonna definitely want rematches with me, and it's like, okay, I'm cool with that, because I've wanted rematches with them, and some that I had, I've been able to get them. So I mean, there's a guy in Grand Junction that for many years I could not beat this guy, and then finally, 2 or 3 years ago, when they had a Division 7 points race, he came down from Grand Junction, and I was able to take him out in the first round with Sharkbait. So that was cool. And I'm just like, I want to go out there and race just like all the others. I wish I had their budgets, but I'm thankful for what I have. So this car's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to having some more fun with it, and possibly getting that 2-digit number on my car next year.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, and it's truly a Cinderella story. It's great to hear from the underdog sometimes. You know, they take you for granted and you put them on the trailer. And I'm always for that. I mean, who doesn't want to hear a story like that every day? Just wanted to give you on Facebook here. Nitro Joe says, congratulations, Gary. And Phil Mandela Jr. says, what's up, Gary?
Hey, well, cool. Tell him hi. Phil, I'll see you in about 2 or 3 days in Vegas. We'll try to have this fun all over again, because I thought it was pretty cool that Phil won the first race, that I made the quarterfinals, and I was able to get this one. So I like that guy. He's racing a pretty cool Chevelle, and he's real good people. So, but then pretty much everybody out there is good people. So I'm just honored and thankful to be able to race with them. And one of these days, one of these years, good Lord willing, I'm going to get me a tow vehicle, and I'm going to start heading up there to the northeast, up there in your neck of the woods. Bob, and my daughter even asked me, how come you have not raced back east? And I said, because I didn't have the right tow vehicle for going all the way up there. My Dodge Nitro has some power in it, but I don't know if it has enough to get over to Grapevine or Raton Pass with my Cavalier behind it. And so, no, I'll wait and get a more powerful vehicle and then go.
Come on, Gary. I mean, you've already got everything covered. You're winning with the front wheel drive. I think you need to make the tow bar great again. Put the tow bar on that thing and pull it. You got to do
it. Oh, that's okay. Julius Irving used to say something about that's old school. So I'll be like, that is real old school, but I don't know if they'd allow that tow bar attachment to the car to be legal in stock. They'd say, oh, you need to take that off.
that was the first stripe taker.
That would be something else. I remember some great people over my early years of racing that did use them tow bars, but I'm grateful, even though what I'm doing now is what a lot of other racers were doing 20, 30 years ago, and that's using a car hauler with a daily driver to pull their vehicle out to the races. But works for me, so, and not breaking my bank account to be able to do that. So I'm cool with it.
It's just a testament. Like I always call my race team should be called Baller on a Budget. Like you're out there, you're killing it, and you're not spending piles and piles of money, which is what really makes it inclusive, right? Like literally anybody can do this, and that's awesome. Way to set the precedent there.
I mean, look at my bud Bill O'Connor. He still uses a tow dolly to pull his car out to the races, and I've done that too. That's the way to do it. Get a small truck, Colorado, a Ranger or something like that. Get one of them tow dollies and get a front wheel drive car on that. Come out and race. That's low buck.
I think just to kind of quantify the conversation. So the keys to getting into racing is practice, right? Get good on the tree. You don't have to spend piles of money. I mean, find a combo that's competitive and just race within your means. I mean, how many people out there could really do a lot better just by getting better at the tree, getting more consistent, and getting into a good routine? I mean, it's not always about just throwing dollars at it.
No, it's you gotta know your car, and that's what helps me out with this. With my car is I'm racing the same car that I bought in 1993. So what is that? 27 years I've been racing this car, and so I'm familiar with the torque steer and whatnot, and the tire stagger for the front tires, and just getting an idea of how the car launches. It pretty much hooks and goes straight, but yeah, I can see where some of the car magazine guys will say that it has torque steer, it'll pull to the left or pull to the right. if you get your tire pressure set up the right way, then it should hook and just go. And for now that I've got a handle on it with these new slicks, then that's what's happening. And I mean, anybody could do that if they really want to get out there and go for it. Bill's done it. Mark did it. Billy Drevo did it. Everybody else did. Dennis Chapman, everybody else that's preceded me racing front-wheel drive cars, they've done it. But I also live by another adage: winners never quit, and quitters never win. And I'm not a quitter, so that's where this came from. So
I like it. Gary, it's been an honor talking to you today, and I'm really happy that you took the time out to come join us. I was so excited to have you on, I forgot to finish, some of the results. So let me go through those real quick. We were talking about the Indy National Open, where Ray Paquette set his record. Wyatt Wagner took the win in Superstock over Ernie Neal. Wyatt Wagner in Superstock G Automatic, Ernie Neal in Superstock I Stick Shift. Rob Turkle, H Stick, took the win over Bobby Lundholm in G Stock Automatic. And then we were in Rockingham. They had an open after the divisional. So Joe Lisa took the win over Corey Taylor in the divisional. And then Corey Taylor followed that up with a win in the open. So he won Superstock. And Ron Urquhart won Stock Eliminator. And then real quick, NHRA just updated the points. Okay, so in Stock Eliminator, David Latino was number 1 going into this weekend. But Brett Candies, who was in 4th after his performance in Dallas, Brett Candies has taken the number 1 spot and bumped David Latino. David Latino lost in the second round. He's down in number 2. And then Jody Lang, Parker DeVore, and Kyle Rizzoli round out 3, 4, and 5. Superstock. Brian Warner extended his lead. He also raced the number 2 David Latino in the 3rd round. So by beating David Latino, Warner extended his lead. And Byron Warner, Brian's identical twin brother, moved up to 5th place. But if I know Byron, he's kicking himself because he went 001 red in the 4th round in the semifinal to Hayden Trumbull. Had he won that round, he would have moved up to 3rd. Had he won the race, he would have finished 2nd. Brian and Byron, identical twins, would have finished number 1 and number 2 in the world. So, sorry, Byron. Okay, that's all I needed to get out there.
Well,
Brian?
Yeah, that's I don't know, I'm still in shock. I'm trying to take notes and look at what Gary's trying to teach me. I'm going to have about 10 sheets of paper here full of things I got to work on all winter now.
Well, I'm just happy that Jody Lang is still in the number 3 spot in the points, but I kind of feel like my bud Lane Weber from Colorado, the year that Scotty Richardson won the Stock Eliminator World Championship, I believe it was 96. He came up to Douglas, Wyoming and raced Lane Weber in the 1st round, and Lane Weber put him on a trailer with a car that's about as quick as mine is. It was a rear-wheel drive Skyhawk, and he calls himself the Hawk. So I thought about that, and it's like Scotty ended up getting the championship that year, but at least Lane could say he didn't get it because of racing me. And I'll say the same thing about Jody. I hope he wins the championship, but I'll be glad that I didn't help his cause in that. So
I just want to give a quick shout out too to Doug Ingalls. He made up some rounds. It looks like he's 2nd in the world right now in comp. So that's going to be fun. See how that plays out here in the next couple weeks. In his backup car this weekend, so it was fun to see him go some rounds. It'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend. But looks like we're about out of time here, so we could talk for hours, but I think Gary's got to go to work, and we got to save something for a future episode.
Well, there you go. Thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, no problem. Make sure you hit John up for some potatoes when you're out there, and I want to see another Wally on your table.
Oh, that would be cool. Finally, this Wally has another one to go with it in my trophy case, or my wall unit.
Oh, man. Best of luck, Gary. I told you I'll be rooting for you.
Thanks,
So,
guys. I'll
have
be
fun out
off in
there.
a couple of days to it, so y'all take care, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for everybody for listening. Go ahead and hit us up, Class Racing Today. Hit subscribe, send us comments, feedback, whatever you want. Like I said, we've really enjoyed doing this. We got some great guests lined up, and just talking about class racing today. That's kind of what it's about.
You got it.
All right. Everybody have a good, safe week, and good luck traveling to Vegas.